everyone, and welcome to episode 70 of the Dear Herbalist podcast titled The Science of the Five Tastes in Herbal Formulations. Now, I am so super stoked and excited that this is my 70th episode. So I'm celebrating myself tonight. So welcome back to the Dear Herbalist podcast, and in this episode, I'm going to dive into a foundational concept in traditional Chinese medicine called the five tastes. We're going to look at their role in herbal formulation tonight. So get your pens, get your papers, get your notepads, get a back of a receipt, something so that you can take some notes, because I'm not only going to give you the traditional foundational concepts of the five tastes, I'm also going to give you the scientific side of the five tastes as well. So if you're interested in that, please stay tuned. If you have not already, please like, share, and subscribe on all of my social media platforms, including on YouTube if you are listening to this on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for your support. Now, the five tastes originated over 2,000 years ago from traditional Chinese medicine. The five tastes are sweet, bitter, sour, salty, and pungent or spicy, as some people know. These have been used by herbalists to create balanced and effective formulas. So whether you're a beginner or an experienced practitioner, understanding these tastes can actually elevate your herbal formulations by allowing you to personalize, balance, and enhance your herbal remedies. It is key. So let's dive a little deeper on the origins of the five tastes. Now, the concept of the five tastes were first documented in a book titled The Yellow Emperor's Classics of Medicine. This is a foundational text of traditional Chinese medicine. So these tastes serve as a flavor code, as they say, that provides insights into the chemical composition as well as the physiological effects of the herbs. Now, interestingly, taste receptors exist not only in the mouth, but throughout the body, signaling the effects of herbs on various systems of organs. So this is the reason why the five tastes are actually important when it comes to also selecting plants. So let's look at how the five tastes work. So number one, taste effects on the body. Now, each taste is believed to affect a specific organ and bodily function, which actually guide the herb's actions within the body. Number two, the therapeutic signals. So taste signals the therapeutic effects herbs might have on the body's systems, guiding practitioners in targeting specific health concerns. So tastes interact with the body by stimulating your taste receptors, which are linked to various organs and systems within your body. So an example of that would be bitter taste actually activate digestive secretions, improving liver and gallbladder function, while sweet taste promote nourishment and energy building, helping to address weaknesses as well as fatigue. Now, what about the non-believers? Because I know you're like, okay, that's all good and all, that's all great. I know, this came from China, traditional Chinese medicine, yada, yada, yada. It's their system and their way of doing things. What is all this hocus pocus about? Well, all right. I promised you we were going to kick it from a scientific perspective, so let's go. Now, the science behind the five tastes in herbal formulation lies in the interaction between taste receptors and your biological symptoms. So with taste receptors in the body, science tells us that taste receptors are not limited to just your mouth, but they're also found throughout your entire body, including your digestive system, lungs, and even your brain. These receptors detect specific compounds in the herbs, triggering physiological responses like digestion, metabolism, and immune function. How does this happen? Well, number one, there's a process called molecular binding, and this is where taste receptors on your taste buds and other tissues pick up specific chemicals in the herbs. Now, each type of receptor is tuned to recognize certain taste, like sweet, bitter, sour, salty, or spicy. An example could be sweet receptors will detect the sugars, while the bitter receptors will sense compounds that actually taste bitter. And this, as a side note, is the reason why, me personally, I believe that if you are taking herb rolled pills, they really should be just the form of the dried powder rolled up, maybe a little honey or something rolled up, and you take it that way, as opposed to encasing it in a pill pocket or some kind of, vegetable glycerin pill. Why is the word escaping me? But instead of putting it in a capsule, just take the herb straight out because of these taste receptors that are on your tongue. The other process is called signal transduction. Now, when a chemical binds to a receptor, it sets off a chain reaction inside your cells. And this reaction will send an electrical signal to your brain and other parts of your body, which then will trigger various bodily responses, such as changes in your digestive system or energy levels, if that's what you are working on. So that is how that works. Now, the science behind the taste also lies in the chemical composition. So each taste corresponds to a specific chemical profile in the plants. And this has measurable effects on your body. So, for example, bitter compounds can stimulate bile production, improve your digestion, and sweet tasting compounds can support energy storage as well as stress reduction. Now, the third part of the science behind taste, it also lies in pharmacological actions. Say that 50,000 times. But the 5 tastes serve as an indicator of an herb's pharmacological properties, allowing practitioners to predict its therapeutic actions. So scientific studies have confirmed that certain tastes, like sour or pungent, can actually influence how your enzymes are acting in the body, as well as circulation and detoxification processes in the body. So there is a proven science behind the 5 tastes, even though in traditional Chinese medicine and even other ancient systems, they long knew that. Okay, this isn't nothing new. I think sometimes people just hear science and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, then it must be true. Like, just because those systems don't explain it the way we do, it doesn't mean that these systems aren't effective, and it doesn't mean these systems don't work. If it's been around for over 2,000 years and it's been working for people, 9 times out of 10, I think it works. The systems work. Okay, but for those that need to understand it in the scientific form, there you go. And we're looking at the receptors on the tongue and what actually happens and what's the process behind the taste. Looking at it through a scientific lens. Okay, now, why does all of this matter in herbal formulation? Why do the 5 tastes even matter in herbal formulation? Well, number one, it guides the herbs that you select. So as an herbalist, you can use the taste to choose herbs based on their actions. So for example, a bitter herb like dandelion root is often used to support liver function. So number 2, why the 5 tastes matter in herbal formulation? It balances formulas. So by combining herbs with different tastes creates a balanced and effective remedy that will address multiple conditions. Number 3, predicts therapeutic effects. So the taste of an herb can indicate its potential actions in the body. Again, you got to understand, back in the day, they didn't have all the science and this and that, and they didn't have all the tools. So they had to rely on their senses. And taste was a huge sense, and it was a huge indicator of what this plant can do, right? So this isn't nothing new. I have to stress that. So by having the taste, it can predict the therapeutic effects of that particular plant and therefore predict what its potential actions are going to be on the body once it hits that person or your tongue. Now, the other reason is that the 5 tastes, it can enhance palatability, meaning that combining taste can make formulas more enjoyable and easier to consume. Because if it's too strong, too bitter, 9 times out of 10, even though it may be working with the body, the person is not going to be able to be consistent in taking whatever formulation that you give, especially if it's like extremely unpalatable. Like, listen, this is like drinking gasoline, bleach, and ammonia all in one thing. Nobody's going to consistently drink that. I don't care if their issue is that their arm is about to fall off. They'll just, hey, we'll just have to deal with it, So you want to increase the palatability. The 5 taste helps you keep that in check. And then the other thing is that you can personalize, your protocols. So by matching the taste of herbs to an individual's constitution, you can create more effective and harmonious formulas. The other thing is that you can actually personalize treatments. So by matching the taste of herbs to an individual's constitution, herbalists can create more effective and harmonious formulas. Now, let's look at, just for a second here, let's go a little bit deeper into understanding the 5 tastes. I'll break them down by each taste. So number 1 is sweet. Now, the properties of sweet is nourishing, moistening, and building. So you can use licorice root, American ginseng. These are some examples of that. But sweet taste supports conditions of fatigue, weakness, or during recovery. It's also great for balancing stronger tasting herbs because, like I said before, if it's very bitter and strong or too sweet or too salty or too sour, people are not going to stay committed with it. You would, Number 2, let's look at pungent and spicy. So the properties of pungent and spicy are warming, stimulating, and dispersing, meaning kind of spreading out. Some examples of some spicy herbs would be ginger and garlic. So you can use these for cold conditions, if you have circulation issues, any type of respiratory congestion. What it'll do is break up the stagnation in the body, and stagnation meaning no movement. And if there's no movement, especially with overproductions of mucus, then it's just going to sit there. And if it sits there, then you get congested. And if you get congested, now there's a problem. So pungent and spicy type of herbs are good for any type of stagnation in the body. The next one is salty. The properties of salty are grounding, moistening, and softening. Examples of this could be any type of seaweeds or nettles. And you can use salty for mineral deficiencies, adrenal support, or softening hardened tissues. And it's also great for bone health as well as electrolyte balance. So those type of herbs are good for that. Now, sour herbs. The properties of sour herbs are cooling, astringent, and contracting. Examples of this would be your rose hips or your hawthorn berries. I mean, it's a lot of them out there. But what the sour herbs do, balances excess heat, tones your tissues, and supports your liver function. It also helps with conditions such as diarrhea or excessive sweating. All right, and number 5, bitter. So properties of bitter are drying, purging, and lowering. Examples are dandelion root and yellow dock. And bitter herbs aid in digestion. It detoxifies the body. It supports your liver function. And it's useful for conditions involving excess heat or dampness. And you typically see this in conditions, arthritic conditions, really. So that's bitter. Now, how do we apply the 5 tastes in your herbal formulations? I'm going to give you a step-by-step strategy for using the 5 tastes in your herbal formulations. So number 1, understand the taste properties. So we know that sweet is nourishing, moistening, and building. Pungent and spicy is warming, stimulating, and dispersing. Salty is grounding, moistening, and softening. Sour is cooling, astringent, and contracting. Bitter is drying, purging, and lowering. Okay, so understand the taste properties. Number 2, identify the primary concern. So start by determining the health issue that you are trying to address. What is the primary concern? Is it inflammation? Is it congestion? Is it weakness? That is important. The third step is select a primary herb based on taste. So choose an herb with a taste that will actually address the dominant concern. So for example, if you're trying to address liver issues, then you want to consider using a bitter herb like dandelion. Okay. Number 4, balance with complementary taste. So you want to add 1 to 2 herbs with different taste to create a balanced formula and address any secondary concerns. Number 5, consider individual constitution. So adapt your formula to match the person's constitution, taking into account whether they are hot or cold, damp or dry. These type of things are important because when you're talking about the 5 tastes, you usually want to balance it with one or the other. If they present hot, then you want to use cold herbs to cool them down. If they present cold, then you might want to use warming herbs to kind of heat up, depending on what the situation is. If they are damp, obviously you want to try to dry them out. So think about these things. Or if they're too dry, then you may want to moisten them up a little bit. So it's all about trying to find the proper balance. And I always tell herbalists to look at it as if you're looking at a balance scale, where you kind of got one side and the other. If it's off balance in any way, our job is to kind of help, utilize herbs to bring that scale back to even keel. So if you look at it that way, it'll help make things not seem so hard. But anyway, step number 6, start simple and then refine. So begin with a basic combination of 2 to 3 herbs and then adjust as you observe the effects. And then number 7, use traditional combinations for guidance. This will help you if you study classic herbal formulas to understand how different tastes have been traditionally combined and blended for specific health issues. And lastly, number 8, observe, adjust, and evolve. So be open to modifying your formulas based on individual responses, as well as any type of clinical outcomes that you might experience. That is the story of an herbalist's life. Observe, adjust, and evolve. Say it with me. Observe, adjust, and evolve. Okay? That is the story of our life. Make sure you are open and flexible because you may need to make changes as needed. It is okay. It happens. But whatever you do, observe, adjust, and evolve. So, the 5 tastes in herbal formulation provide a powerful tool for crafting effective and balanced remedies. By understanding how each taste interacts with the body and its system, we as herbalists can personalize our protocols, enhance the therapeutic effects, and make our own formulas more enjoyable for ourselves, our families, and our clients. So whether you are just starting out or you're looking to refine your skills, apply these principles. They can definitely help you create a more targeted and successful herbal protocol. And with that, family, if you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on all of my social media sites at The Demystified Herbalist. I see a lot of you are listening. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But I think it said maybe 53% of my listeners aren't subscribed. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. But I appreciate it at any rate, whatever you do. The fact that you're listening right now, thank you so much. I appreciate each and every last one of you. I am humbled by it. But go on over there and subscribe. Don't leave me hanging. So with that being said, have a great night. Thank you so much for listening in. And with that, family, I'm out.